So why don't we start with a little bit about you. What do you do,
Okay.
and why did you end up looking for us?
I'm 48. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 30 years. And that's important just because it comes in later
Hmm.
as it just took me a long time to get to the point where I realized what I was doing wasn't working. But I was diagnosed late with asthma, like in my late 20s. And maybe once every year and a half, I would have to go and get steroids for a flare up, but I was never really on maintenance.
Hmm.
And it was more exercise induced. But last year, I ended up having significant breathing problems. And in a 5-month span, I ended up on 3 different steroid tapers. And I don't know if you've ever been on steroids, but they make you feel terrible. And it just, but more than that, I couldn't breathe. Like I really could not breathe. And I was on like 3 different inhalers, 2 different allergy medicines, and I wasn't able to work out. But really, I couldn't sleep. It was just, and not being able to sleep, it messes you up emotionally too. But
Hmm.
this sound, but you know what really got me was vanity, because I was getting vitiligo, and I have like a white spot here, but I was getting them on the lower part of my face. And I went to a dermatologist, and she said, "Oh, you have Hashimoto's." And I was kind of like confused. I had been going at that point for about a year and a half to a woman's hormone center, and they had placed me on testosterone and eventually thyroid supplements. Um, and I really thought I was
Thyroid
doing the right
replacement, yeah,
thyroid
medications,
replacement, right?
yeah.
Medication, yeah. And I really thought I was doing the right thing. And I realized they weren't drawing maintenance labs. And I know that for your thyroid, you really do have to get some maintenance labs. And so when the
Hmm.
dermatologist told me that I had Hashimoto's, I know that is thyroid. And my husband actually trains with you,
Hmm.
and he suggested that I come see you, and you basically changed my life and flipped everything around for me.
Hmm. So
By
let's talk
actually,
about, yeah, go ahead.
well, by taking away all the medicines, not adding any more medicines,
Yeah,
I'm off all that stuff now.
yeah, which is a huge win, right? And so yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. And just for legal purposes, right? I didn't tell you to stop any medications. We had you talk to your nurse practitioner, and she
Right.
reviewed our findings, and she said, yeah, we're absolutely right that you're being over medicated and not properly monitored. And she recommended you come off all those medications, right?
Oh, oh yeah. And she was horrified.
Yeah.
She actually said she wanted to call the and file a complaint. I mean, I don't think she did, but she just said it was borderline malpractice that uh the hormone replacement women's health clinic,
Yeah.
when she saw my labs and saw how I would say being managed, but really not managed.
Yeah, absolutely. So then that takes us into what did we find when we started working together that kind of changed everything around? One piece was the fact that you were being over medicated. What else did we discover?
The one that really surprised me was my eosinophils, my
Hmm.
inflammatory markers
Hmm.
were 13,
Hmm. Yeah,
13,
very high.
and yeah, and I really don't remember what did you say? Less than 3 is normal, or
Yeah, less than, so we look for less than three. The lab will tell you like less than one, and we're
Mhm.
almost there. But yeah,
So 13, that explained a lot.
yeah, yeah,
And
as far as your allergy reactions.
right, and of course that makes sense that that was making my breathing an issue. And also my blood counts, my hemoglobin and hematocrit were high. Like
Hmm.
basically it was reading like I had thicker blood, and that was from the testosterone.
Hmm.
And gosh, well, of course my thyroid markers were a mess.
Yeah,
Um
right. Yeah, and a lot of the symptoms you were experiencing, we should say, you did all that treatment probably for what, about a year or longer? The hormone
uh
replacement,
about a year and a half,
about a
probably.
year and a half. Okay. And a lot of the symptoms that you were experiencing prior to starting that treatment, I would say it probably gotten
Oh,
worse.
yeah, well, right, like my anxiety had gotten worse.
Hmm.
Um, my skin was a mess, and I don't mean just the vitiligo. I mean, I had terrible acne, and like worse than I have 4 teenagers, and their
Hmm.
skin's better than mine was.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and like I originally went and started because I was like, oh, this will the hormone replacement originally was, for uh like anxiety, mental fog, energy, sleep,
Yeah.
and interestingly, those things have subsided now that I have modified my diet and eating habits. And
Yeah. And come off the hormone replacement.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Big one.
bad.
Awesome. And so, yeah, so we found a lot of those things. We found your immune system was like just hyperactive, hyper reactive to everything in the environment. And one of the big things we did is we started to rebuild your internal health and your barrier systems meaning the barriers of the lungs, the barriers of the intestinal lining. And a big role was put into kind of healing your gut and your digestive system, right?
Right, right, right.
So
And
tell us about that experience with kind of the food elimination and then introducing back in.
so it sounds like it would be hard to do, but it's really actually it wasn't. It's not. It's oh, let me just say, when I was having trouble with my breathing, I still did not make the connection to, everything else. But I went
Hmm.
and saw an allergist because I thought, oh, for sure. I mean, Central Texas has got to be some, seasonal allergies kind of
Hmm.
thing, making my breathing even worse. And he said, oh, you're sensitive to beef, corn, and I don't remember beef and corn. I'm like, that's weird. Um, but the elimination diet that you and I spoke about uh, was no dairy, gluten, soy, eggs.
The
Trying to remember,
nightshades
and the nightshade
and the
vegetables.
grains. Yeah. Hmm.
Right, and it's actually not. It's not hard.
Hmm. Yeah.
I got like a little ninja smoothie maker. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I eat a lot of salmon. It's delicious. Like
Wow.
at work, they cater in lunch a lot at work, and
Hmm.
it's really not terrible. Like if they bring in sandwiches, I'll get the tuna and just eat like a sandwich and eat the tuna out of it, or they usually have a salad. But what's interesting is, so even with cutting out all that stuff, and I wasn't exercising at all because I was really
Hmm.
worried that it would exacerbate my breathing problems again.
Right.
But I still lost about 20 pounds since you and I first met.
Awesome. Yeah. And that was
Yeah,
just taking out those inflammatory foods.
right. And not to be TMI, but it also improved like gas, bloating
Hmm.
issues,
Yeah. Yeah. All your GI symptoms.
Right. Like and I have been on reflux meds since like 2001,
Hmm.
and I stopped those. I still have intermittent reflux, but that's more I think of a volume issue,
Hmm.
and like every once in a while, I'll have something I shouldn't. But um I actually have not had any. I don't mind that that diet at all. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, especially if you feel good eating that
right.
way, right?
I'm
That's the
sleeping
big
great.
that's the big game changer. Yeah. Perfect. So that takes us to how have the results been of the program as we've been working through it.
Well, my skin cleared up. Like I said,
Hmm.
I still have that one little vitiligo spot, but this this whole side here had vitiligo, and that actually went away. I know this one might not, but which is fine.
Hmm.
I definitely feel like um well, I've lost 20 pounds just by eating like that. I'm sleeping
Hmm.
great.
Your
Um
breathing.
oh, my breathing's a non-issue. Like I don't have to take any inhalers, and I've
Hmm.
started going back to the gym, and my goal is to increase that back to my previous level, which is
Absolutely.
interesting because before, like last year, before you and I met, I had been going to the gym pretty religiously, and
Hmm.
I was not really losing weight, but it was because I was eating still, I think, things that were causing that inflammatory response in my stomach.
Yeah,
um
absolutely.
and so I have a goal because I'm going to go start doing some traveling.
Yeah, exciting. Awesome. Perfect. So, um, what would be something you'd want to share with, anybody who listens or watches this who might be suffering with, similar chronic symptoms? You having a medical background and being a nurse for 30 plus years, what would be a educational point you would want to share, if any?
Well, I was surprised that I didn't make the connection, I guess, like that to my breathing in my stomach.
Hmm.
And it's all connected. It's all connected. And instead of adding medicines, I think that and adding I think it's almost better to like have a clean slate and start and build up from there.
Hmm.
And just be open to other suggestions. I think so. I talk about this elimination, the things I've eliminated at work a lot with the girls, and they're like, "Oh, I could never do that." Um, and I'm like, "Yeah, you really can.
Hmm.
It's really not that hard. It's not terrible at all, and especially once you get
Hmm.
started
Yeah.
and start to feel better." But I think for me, I mean, I really was a little like embarrassed that I feel like I got a little bit bamboozled by the hormone replacement
Hmm.
center. Like, I felt like I should have known better, I guess.
Hmm.
And also I felt a little bit like I mean dumb that I really didn't make the connection, and instead was just I had more inhalers, more steroids, and um I'm just really glad that I met you and that I'm feeling better,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, the most important piece. You're feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your story. Hopefully, this will uh, help someone in the public who's suffering with chronic health symptoms like this to find someone that can help them, that'll listen to them, and maybe, like you said, have a strong foundation and take a step back and look outside the box instead of continuously living inside that medical box.
Right, right. And I wanna thank you too because you've been very kind, and I'm sorry I'm a little emotional, but
No, that's
thank you
fine.
for helping me.
Well, thank you for playing along with me, because I always tell people I'm just the guide and I just give you the information. You took it and you ran with it and really dedicated the time to doing it. Um, I could have
You
five
explained
people.
it in a way that really made I'm like, it
Yeah,
really put it all together for me.
yeah, absolutely. And I think when patients understand what is happening and why we decide to do what we do to try to unwind the issue, they're
Yes.
much more willing to comply to it, right?
for sure. Yeah.
So the education piece is something I strive a lot to give people. So at least they understand. Not knowing what's driving their health issues causes a lot of stress and anxiety in itself. So
Yeah,
understanding, I think, is a big piece.
I agree. Yeah. And I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time. And we'll see you next time.
All right. All right. Sounds
All
good,
right.
Dr. Medina.
All
All
right.
right. Bye.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.